Good evening, everybody. Right off the bat, I wanted to talk about a recent discovery I made. So I am, or at least was, a big fan of the YouTube channel Kurzgesagt in a nutshell. For those who don't know, Kurzgesagt in a nutshell is a science YouTube channel, and I was a big fan of it. So as you can see, I have two posters that I bought from them on my wall there. And I have you can't see them, but I have another three posters on this wall. I have the Dyson Sphere poster, the Mars base poster, and the complement system poster. I also have I don't know if I've ever worn this on a stream, but I have a t-shirt from them. And I have two pins from them. I also bought multiple of their calendars, and my mother bought me a gratitude journal from them. I've been watching them for what feels like forever. Since I was just a little boy, I've been watching their YouTube channel. So I've been watching them forever. So I always knew that they were left wing. They made a obviously they talk about like climate change, and they did apologize for how poorly they did this issue. But a long time ago, they made a video about immigration. And in that video, they said all of Western nations should have open borders for refugees and immigrants from third world countries. And to disagree with this policy meant you're a racist, bigoted, bad person. They did apologize for that take, though. So I was able to enjoy their videos despite all of those takes, because I just told myself that, or I assumed that they were just naive. Growing up as a young man in the West, part of my lived experience is I've had people trying to shove woke nonsense down my throat for my whole life. That's just part of my lived experience. So I do feel sympathetic towards young people that hold left-wing views and anti-white views, because that's just what we've all been programmed to feel. But they made a video, and in this video, they talked about the Palestinian genocide, and this video was awful. So I'm going to play some for you.
Ten years ago, in 2014, we asked if war was over. Based on long-term trends in the last century, it seemed...
Here, I'll show you the first issue.
And, well, a decade later, we could start this...
The Israel-Hamas war. Not the Palestinian genocide, not the Gaza genocide, not the Palestinian massacre, not the Palestinian mass slaughter, the Israel-Hamas war. That's how they called it. So off the bat, they already framed it in a completely dishonest way that's completely in line with what Zionists want to trick you into believing, and what the Zionist propaganda has been shoving down our throats, or attempting to shove down our throats, throughout this genocide and throughout this illegal occupation more broadly. So they're already off to a really bad start.
War since World War II, where a major power is trying to conquer territory and to subjugate another state. It followed an 8-year conflict that started with the 2014 Russian annexation of Crimea and the war in the Donbass. Most disturbing new development is the full-scale invasion of Ukraine by Russia. It's the first large-scale interstate war in 20 years, and the first war since World War II where a major power is trying to conquer territory and to subjugate another state.
Absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, did you catch that? They said that the Russian invasion of Ukraine is the first time a large major country tried to invade and subjugate another country. This is crazy. This is obviously lies. They're lying to our face. So they mentioned, it was in their show, America invaded and attempted to subjugate Iraq. America invaded and attempted to subjugate Afghanistan. America invaded, massacred, bombed, subjugated Syria, where we've been bombing both sides of the civil war in Syria in order to subjugate the Syrian people. NATO has subjugated many, many people, and during the 1940s, the Zionists invaded Palestine in order to subjugate the Palestinian people. The US also invaded and attempted to subjugate Vietnam during the Vietnamese War and has subjugated countries all throughout Latin America and the developing world. So this is just imperialist Western propaganda, brainwashing, tricking us into believing nonsense for our overlords. This is one thing I want you to remember. The Palestinian genocide is not a war, and it's not a religious conflict, as they refer to it throughout the video. It's a ethnic-based, racial-based, racist genocide. If you read the Talmud says only Jews are human. The Talmud says that Jews are the real master race. This is the true motivation for this genocide, for this invasion, for this subjugation. The Zionists believe that they're the only true human beings, and that all Gentiles, whether it be white people or the Palestinians or the Arabs, are subhuman. They're inferior. They're worse than animals. They're dirty, unclean, unedible meat. They're shiksas. They're dirty goyim. So they're totally fine with invading them, conquering them, enslaving them, exterminating them, and stealing from them because of their race, because they're not part of the Jewish race. I honestly, this is a never meet your heroes moment for me. Because, to be honest, I don't know if I can ever support Kurzgesagt again, unless they apologize for this awful video. But I don't know if an apology would make up for this, because before I just assumed that they genuinely believed in this sort of hippie ideology that, oh, these people from half the world away from us are exactly the same as us, so we need to let them in our homes. because they're going through struggle, ignoring the fact that why are they going through struggles? Because of the bankers' wars, the Iraq invasion, the Afghanistan invasion, the Iraq famine that killed 500,000 children under the Clinton administration. That's why none of the Arabs want to live in the Middle East, and they're all running away towards white countries. So completely ignoring, and it was the overthrow of Saddam Hussein and the murder of people like Saddam Hussein and Muammar Gaddafi, which is why these countries have been conquered by organizations like ISIS and overrun by and turned into hellholes that everyone wants to escape from into white countries. So the establishment is turning the Middle East into a hellhole for Gentiles. So then Arabs need to flood themselves into white countries. And then the establishment says anyone that opposes white countries being flooded with Arabs is racist that needs to be thrown in prison. Oh, you said you don't like Arabs in your home? Well, arrest them for hate speech. Put them in prison for hate speech. Good thing we have these hate speech laws, so these racists, anti-Arab, brown people haters go to prison. And Kurzgesagt, they said basically this in their video about immigration. They ignored who's really to blame for why all these Arabs are fleeing their homes. And then they just said, let them into first world countries. And if you oppose them coming into first world countries, you're a racist. It's not you care for your people or you care for your country or you don't think that the welfare state can handle having millions of new people on it. You're just racist. You just hate brown people. But then they completely whitewash the Palestinian genocide. They make it seem like they deny the Palestinian genocide. So if you don't want brown people in your home, you're a racist. But then they're okay with Israel committing genocide against brown people. So does Kurzgesagt hate brown people or does it love brown people? Here's the thing. They are, I think this really makes me wonder where they're getting their funding from, because they're in support of Arabs when it comes to Arabs coming into white countries, but they're against Arabs when it comes to Israel benefiting from ethnically cleansing Arabs. So it seems that they are happy to flip-flop on Arab issues. But do you know what's even though this video is really tough on me, I got a white pill from it. It got ratioed. So for a very popular, good channel, they usually get around a 10% of the views for likes ratio. I don't know so I'm a big fan of the history channel Zoomer Historian. And usually if a video has 100,000 views, it will have around 10,000 likes. Or if it has 10,000 views, it will have around 1,000 likes, around approximately. So this video has 23.5 million 3.8 thousand subscribers, 3.8 million views. So it should have around 390,000 likes, but it doesn't have anywhere near that. Let's read some of the comments. 2034 Kurzgesagt voiceover being recorded shouting with bombs dropping in the background. Short answer, yes, there are still wars. Why you didn't mention a certain country vetoing the peace twice? So this is referring to how Israel, and Israel has pushed America into doing this, vetoing bills against the illegal, criminal, and evil occupation of the Palestinian people. Money, great answer. Surely it's completely incorrect to state there have not been wars between democracies when Israel just finished its invasion of Lebanon. Great point, though that comes with the caveat of Israel is not, or I don't believe Israel is a legitimate state, but Zionist occupied Palestine is not a democracy. Zionist occupied Palestine is not a democracy. It's a theocracy. It's an ethno-state. But it's not a democracy. Gentiles aren't allowed to vote in Zionist occupied Palestine. Gentiles aren't given rights in Zionist occupied Palestine. Only Jews get to take part in the elections, and even those seem to be a little bit flip-floppy because Benjamin Netanyahu has suspended elections until the end of the Palestinian genocide, which will be expanded towards, if I were to guess, the Syrian genocide and the Lebanese genocide. End of rules-based order, like when the ICC demands Netanyahu to be arrested and most Western countries don't oblige. Exactly what I'm talking about. Islamists are mentioned twice. Why don't you mention countries who unvote from UN resolutions for making food as human rights? Another direct call towards Zionist occupied Palestine. How can you detail the section of wars being supported by other nations and fail to mention the U.S. funding of Israel's military? How can you call it the Israel-Hamas war when the UN Amnesty International and countless people who have been in the area have described doctors being shot in the head, ambulances being shot at, people being starved, etc., and are purposely using the term genocide because it's accurate? It would be wise for the Kurzgesagt team to remember that indifference always sides with the oppressor. Elie Wiesel, Holocaust survivor, be better. Great point. They're getting roasted in their own comment section. I am so happy with and proud of most people in this comment section. Me too. Disappointed in the show, happy with the comment section. Certainly, the most disturbing development is Kurzgesagt complicity in propaganda by abstention of facts, framing bias. Kurzgesagt calls the Israeli conflict a regional crisis, 317, ignoring the ICJ ruling the state is a plausible genocide, and the recent Amnesty report labeling the conflict as a genocide against Palestinians. provide and then they show more examples of this. So, but I think it started off really well. Certainly, the most disturbing development is Kurzgesagt complicity in propaganda by abstention of facts. So, look, if a channel wants to be left-wing, I can still respect them and enjoy them. I'll disagree, but I can still respect them and enjoy them. But do you know what I can't respect? I can't respect a YouTube channel or any other piece of media becoming propaganda for the establishment, for the elites, for the ruling class, for our oppressors, for the rulers of the West for over 100 years, and the rulers of America since its founding. They are bending over and bowing to our oppressors, Kurzgesagt, and I'm outraged at them, but I'm white-pilled by the comment section. Okay, so there were a lot more comments that were siding with me, but we don't have to finish reading them all. So in other news, CNN lost $400 million. So this has been reported in the last 4 years. CNN profits went down $400 million. That's a lot of money. But it's great to see because this is a little bit similar to my earlier point, but this shows that more and more normal people are waking up and are starting to become better at pattern recognition and recognizing what's really going on in the world. And they're going to stop mindlessly swallowing propaganda like CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, Kurzgesagt in a nutshell, of these soulless, corrupt propaganda pieces are more and more people are waking up to what they really are. And this is wonderful. Do I want CNN to go lose all its money, go bankrupt, and go off the air? I want more than that. I want something worse than that to happen to CNN. I want something worse than that to happen to the rulers of CNN, the CNN workers. And I also want MSNBC and Fox News to go bankrupt and file for bankruptcy. I want this corrupt mainstream cable news to go out of business because they are not truth tellers. They're liars. They lie consciously every day. They know they're not spreading the truth. They know they're just spreading lies. And they're complicit in countless genocides and human rights violations. So, condolences, CNN. I hope you suffer a lot more. And I hope cable news in general suffers a lot more. So this has been all over the internet. The whore, Bonnie Blue, slept with over
Mom, you said the dryer? Yeah. It's done. Yeah.
slept with over 1,000. The influencer, Bonnie Blue, slept with over 1,000 men in 12 hours. So what is this? This should be a wake-up call to everybody that the sexual revolution of the 1960s has failed and that the sexual revolution of the 1960s was a mistake. And the sexual revolution of the 1960s is the cause for all sorts of degeneracy. The incel movement, incels in general, the degeneracy of the modern world, in large part, the crash in birth rates, the fact that I think less than half of my generation will say they even want children. This is it. This is the, I was going to say zenith, or I guess nadir, but I think it's going to get a lot worse than this. So what do I mean by this? So before the sexual revolution, we applied to Christian morality, and Christian morality, for all that disagree with it, it is important. Monogamous marriage is wonderful. So how society should work, as proposed in the Christian moral compass, is that carnal delights should only happen within monogamous marriages, and it's an abomination if a carnal delight occurs outside of a monogamous marriage. This is how we should have stayed. This is holy. This is to say that one man and one woman promise to each other that they'll love each other forever and for always. Every man can come home and know that he has a woman just for himself whose love and attraction is just for him. Every woman can come home and know that, or have a man that comes home to her that she knows will love her forever and for always, and is hers and hers alone, and is special for her. They have something special. But the boomers during the 1960s were complicit in letting the elites do the sexual revolution, which introduced contraceptives into mainstream society, fornication into mainstream society, and all sorts of degeneracies into mainstream society. What this has turned into, and Bonnie Blue is just a more extreme than usual example of normal everyday occurrences in our modern, postmodern, degenerate Western hemisphere, which is that women will have intercourse with a tiny minority of the men with the highest sexual marketplace values, and the women are whores that go around this minority of men, and the men are all perverts, womanizers, and Lotharios that just mess around with endless supplies of women, and it's all meaningless sex, and it's just essentially, not to be too vulgar, but I apologize for the vulgar language, but masturbating with other people's bodies is what it is. It's not making love, most certainly not. So now we have the vast majority of men are virgins, are involuntarily celibate, and feel like they have no hope for quality marriage to ever get a quality wife. Most women are degenerate whores, and no one is settling down to have a good, wholesome family and start a family and have children. Our birth rate has collapsed. No one is willing to have children, and each newer generation, shrinking smaller and smaller. So we'll have no one to be able to take care of the elderly. That we have no retire. I don't have a retirement to look forward to. You don't have a retirement to look forward to. Young people don't have a retirement to look forward to. Young people feel like they have nothing to look forward to, nothing to live for. And this is going to exactly what it's was designed to do, which is to shrink the white populations, to shrink the white birth rates so they can be replaced by other races. All right. Well, I think I'm going to call it good for today's episode. Good evening. And I guess if I can give any, the morals of today's episode is don't fall for mainstream examples. Go leave a hate comment under Kurzgesagt's war video. Don't watch cable news, and don't have degenerate sex and try to start a family. That's today's moral or morals. So good evening, good night, and good luck.